what to think of when you receive. And then it's a little scary because the Ben Ish Chai says if you don't intend to receive, then you don't get. And he says, wait a second, what's going on here? I mean, I thought I was getting the Neshama Yisera every Shabbos just by keeping Shabbos. So I kind of take a little bit less of a extreme position and say, just daven that we can really get it. Okay, so maybe we haven't been doing all that we should have been doing till now, but nobody told us. So Hashem is cool, but He wants our heart. He wants us to grow to more awareness, and so. What it basically, it's that the neshama comes down as an extra level added of level of awareness into us, and it comes in stages. Hashem doesn't bomb us with the high levels, and I've been working on it for years, and really just concentrating on these moments, these 3 moments on Friday night, and the 3 moments on Shabbat morning. And wondering, what's really behind it? And sometimes I've actually felt something, but most of the time not. Sometimes I've had a vision of something that's been very powerful. I think in a minyan like the Karbach minyan, or a good minyan of really powerful singing, of people really, really getting into it, then even if you're not aware of the exact Kabbalistic stuff, not everybody's a Mekubal, but something is obviously happening. I was in Musaf, I think, a year ago, in the Karbach Shul, and I literally felt like my cranium was being opened up. I felt such an amazing joy during the Kedusha. I felt such a privilege to be with people who were so really sincere. And the singing was awesome. You don't feel that everywhere you go. So let's make that happen. Let's be there for each other. So that first thing ends on page 5 and 6, and then on page 7 is a little introduction to the idea that there's a weekly Shabbat, and that our weekly Shabbats parallel the millennial Shabbat, and that we're now in the 6th millennium, corresponding to the 6th day of creation, and that we're actually past noontime of Friday afternoon of history. Bless you. And there's certain things that happen on a weekly level because we're preparing for Shabbos, right? And it's traditional that we've always prepared for Shabbos. And one of those things was in the temple that the trumpets were blown at 12 and 12:30. Wow. That anybody who does anything that's not connected to Shabbat will not see blessing from what you're doing. And that's a hard one for some of us. We keep working and doing what we have to do. We have to do it. But at least to know it. At least to know what's called the light of Shabbos is shining down and beginning to lift things up. Because what goes on, and what you'll see in the other essays that are in the book that follow, is that the Ari explains there's an elevation of the worlds starting on Friday. As the neshama starts to come down, the worlds begin to start to come up. And the more that whatever that means, from below something begins to become elevated, and as a result, something from above, something starts to come down, and that's those 2 triangles. That's the Jewish star. That's heaven coming down to earth, and earth coming up to heaven. We're trying to meet. We're trying to form something new. Shabbat is a powerful meeting of God and man. For instance, when we say Lechadodi, this is the motion. Come down, beloved, from supernatural land, and reveal yourself again like you used to, and come to meet the bride, Likrat Kala, the bride who's the Shechina, who goes down into the depths of the week, or the depths of our lives, and she's coming up now with all the souls and all the sparks of holiness that she gathered during the week, during the 6,000 years of history. And we are the children of bringing daddy and mommy together. And we say, Hashem Echad, U'Shmo Echad. And it was really one the whole time. It just had to seem like it was two. That miracle and nature, that really, it's a unified system, and it only appears to be two. And Shabbos is when that appearance melts away, and the reality of oneness becomes more apparent. We invite that oneness. We invite the awareness of that oneness. We try and be a vessel for that oneness. Man and wife meet on the deepest levels on Shabbat. Heaven and earth meet. Families meet. Children, parents. And so even maybe a lot of us, when we were Choser B'Teshuvah at the beginning, it was really exciting. For me, it was, and it remains so because of these teachings, but sometimes it gets a little bit dry, rigid, and it's not as exciting anymore, and the family gets a little bit more difficult, and the wife feels like, all I have to do is take care of these 4 kids, and it's really hard, and I want some adult things also, and the husband has to be sensitive to that, and like take over and help and be there. Families nowadays, you have to work together. We have to really work together. It's not just, this old male-female stuff. It's I'm male-female, and you're female-male, and let's work together, and let's bring everything into a higher unity. Let's be very sensitive to the other person. That's what Shabbos is about. So it says on page 7, Shabbos, a taste of eternity. You don't need the beginning. It's all nice stuff. What I really want is it basically leads into the Baal Shem Tov, one of the few things we have in writing from the Baal Shem Tov. And I was really into this for a long time, but I never got this far. I'll tell you what I'm leading up to. On page 8, second paragraph from the bottom. Is anybody in the room that doesn't have some access to one of these books? You can share and look. And if you don't, close your eyes and you'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay. The Rabbi Yisrael the Baal Shem Tov, third, Rabbi Yisrael the Baal Shem Tov established 2 changes in the prayer service, which were subsequently included in the Siddur, in Nusach Sfarad, which is Hasidish. The recital of Psalm 107 before Mincha of Erev Shabbat, and the recital of the portion from the Zohar called Kegavna, immediately prior to Baruch Hu on Leil Shabbat. We'll concentrate here on Psalm 107, because in addition to establishing its recital, the Baal Shem Tov also wrote a commentary to it. And we don't have almost anything in writing from the Baal Shem Tov except 2 letters, and I don't know. We don't have a commentary on anything from him, from his hand. And this is traditionally attributed to him, and I've translated 3/4 of it, and it's here in this booklet. This commentary can be found in the numerous Hasidic Sidurim, Berditchev, Nadvorna, or Nadvorny. The full text can also be found in the Sefer Baal Shem Tov al Torah, Parashat Yitro, number 26, because that's where in the 10 Commandments the mitzvah of Shabbat is. So a lot of the stuff that the Baal Shem Tov said about Shabbat is in Parashat Yitro in that book. In highly Kabbalistic language, the Baal Shem Tov essentially says that the illumination that shines down into the world every Shabbos is so powerful that it has the ability to free all the souls and sparks of holiness that have been trapped and entrenched in the realm of evil during the week. For instance, verse 2 reads, Yomru Giulei Adonai, Asher Ge'ala Mi'atzah, proclaim this, O those whom Hashem has redeemed, whom He has redeemed from the hand of the oppressor. The Baal Shem Tov comments, this refers to the transmigrated souls. During the entire 6 days of the week, they were in exile, subjugated to the shells, the klipot, the forces of evil. In this sense, they were considered dead, for exile is equal to death. Now, as Shabbat approaches, they are redeemed from the hand of the klipa, which is called the Yad Tsar, the hand of the oppressor, or the power of the constrictor. As we shall see in a moment, although the Baal Shem Tov does not mention the correspondence of the weekday Shabbat to the millennial Shabbat, but the correspondence is implied. Indeed, So what I'm trying to say here is, as I go through it, is that everything that Baal Shem Tov says about the weekly Shabbat is all the more so that all the sparks and all the souls that were in exile, in soul exiles, called the 4 archetypal soul exiles, all of us are now being, because the light of Shabbat is shining into the world, all of us are being able to come back. Literally to Eretz Yisrael, and also in Tshuva. So it's an incredible millennial process happening here, and it's a wonderful way to look at the world and what's going on. So if you look at the structure of Psalm 107, third paragraph, the psalm divides smoothly into 5 main sections. The first 4 of these describe 4 types of life-threatening situations. In the Talmud and the Shulchan Aruch, this psalm is thus seen as the source for the 4 categories of people who are required to publicly express thanksgiving to Hashem by saying the Gomel, by benching HaGomel. One who was bedridden, one who had faced serious charges and was imprisoned, one who safely completed a sea voyage, one who undertook a dangerous journey on land, desert, whatever. So the halacha requires that the blessing be said ideally during the day, standing in the presence of a minyan. Within 3 to 5 days after the event, women, especially after childbirth, are also required to recite this blessing in the presence of a minyan. Blessed are you, Hashem, King of the universe, who grants good to the undeserving, and who has therefore granted me all this good. Amen. May he who has granted you all this good grant you only good forever. Selah. And they're alluded to in the Shemona Esrei, and when we say towards the end of the Shemona Esrei, V'chol ha'chaim yiducha selah, all who are alive will thank you forever. And so the Chaim, the word Chaim, is the initials of Chavush, imprisoned, Yisurin, afflictions, Yam, sea, and Midbar, desert. All who have passed through these and are still alive, let them come and thank Hashem. On the deeper level, the Baal Shem Tov explains these 4 represent 4 different types of spiritual exile, not just halachic categories, not just benching HaGomel, right, in a prosaic sense, which it's not prosaic, it really means that I came through something heavy. Right? But he saw right through it. He says, it's so clear. It's spiritual exiles, 4 types, in which the souls who come down to this world tend to get stuck. In this sense, imprisonment, afflictions, the sea and the desert are metaphors for those soul exiles, which can easily be seen to parallel the 4 major exiles of the Jewish people, top of page 10. Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. And the 4 klipot in Ezekiel's vision of the chariot, the storm wind, the great cloud, the flashing fire, and the radiant glow. And the 4 forms of capital punishment administered by the Sanhedrin, and ultimately the 4 letters of Hashem's name. So why do we go through these things? If we have been instrumental in distorting the concepts embodied in the 4 letters of God's name, or any of the 4 letters, then we have to go down into a lower level, into a level called exile or death. Because the lowering of any lowering is called death relative to the level above it. And then go through what we have to go through. So our prayer has to be, Hashem, please clear us from anything that we've done that has distorted your name, distorted the ideas that are embodied in your name, your essence, oneness, the providence through which you oversee all events, and that you interact with us in our lives, that you speak to us behind the scenes. What you want from us is our hearts, our service. And you want to give so much to us, but we've maybe distorted it in one way or the other. So there's more here, and then on page 11 is the psalm itself. 11 and 12, it's 43 verses. And it has these 4 sections. Before verse 4, saved from wandering in the wilderness, spiritual wilderness, pathless wasteland, spiritually empty, meaningless life, nihilism. Down before verse 17, saved from physical sickness and corresponding spiritual maladies. Before verse 23 on page 12, saved from the stormy sea. This world is likened to a sea. We need direction to reach the dry land of the world to come. Let's read verses 23 a little.